Well, why is it so easy to be mean? It's only going to change when we get ourselves right, and we're going to shift now to some advice on how to do that. Barbarara Colorosо is the best-selling author of The Bully, The Bullied, and The Bystander, Breaking the Cycle of Violence. Barbara, thank you for being with Context.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
It's just great to have you here.
Awesome. It's so important.
It is so important. You've been around the world on this. We just heard this very famous story of Karen Klein.
Yes.
And she said, I tried to stop bullying. I would write it up and it was just blown away. We've got programs in most schools about bullying. What aren't we getting right about this?
Well, step one is we define it inappropriately. It is a conscious, willful act intended to harm where you get pleasure from somebody else's pain. But we often say it's an action that's continuous and repeated over time. But don't you think once called a gross sexual name, once dunked in the toilet, once relationally bullied on the internet matters? You see, we have to say it is often continuous and repeated. But it's an act of meanness where you attack another human being, get pleasure from their pain. And then it is often continuous and repeated. And the cyberbullying is a means of bullying. It's verbal, physical, and relational, as opposed to emotional. I think they all hit us emotionally. But verbal, physical, and relational. So we have to look at the definition first and make the distinction. And I think many schools fail to do this, as many adults do with kids. Make the distinction between conflict and bullying. Conflict's normal, natural, and necessary. Our job is to teach kids to handle those conflicts nonviolently. Being mean and cruel to another human being means I put that other person outside my circle of deep caring and make them into an it. Verbal bullying is so offensive because it dehumanizes another human being.
That's really at the core of this, isn't it? We are not seeing value in another person. And it's so hard for somebody, like now as an adult I can say that, but I didn't realize that's really what a child has to learn, is that every person has value.
I say to kids, as a parent and an educator, you don't have to like every kid in your play yard or in the schoolyard, but you must honor their dignity and self-worth as a human being. In bullying, we make another person, as I said, into an it. I have a book on genocide where the premise of that book is that it's from the bully book. It's a short walk from schoolyard bullying to hate crimes to genocide.
I'm appalled to hear you say that. You've been to Rwanda.
Yes, I work in Rwanda with orphans from that genocide. But what did they call Tutsis? Cockroaches. In Nazi Germany, they didn't kill Jews, they killed vermin and bacteria eating at the fabric of our society. When you dehumanize another human being with your language, it allows you to do things to them and not feel any shame or compassion. You notice with Karen's story, the only kid that sent the apology, she said, well, he wasn't such a bad kid. He was not the perpetrator. He wasn't the main bully. He was one of those not so innocent bystanders. He was the bully's henchman. Bullies' henchmen typically do to please the bully. But they're kids who would do to please first their parents, and they've learned to obey authority, quote unquote. And when they are caught in that trap of comradeship, they are actually stunned when they remove themselves from that and go, oh my, I did that to that other human being.
And that's how Karen's story got caught, because when the boys realized just the power of what they had posted on the internet. Let's talk about our cell phones and our computers.
Cyberbullying.
How has this escalated, the words we can speak that hurt others?
Again, it's only a tool, and we have to teach our kids two things. Net manners, how do you behave on the net, and net safety, how to be safe on the net. Well, the net manners says that, and I use an old Sufi saying, where they say our words must pass through three gates. First, is it true? If it's not true, don't say it. If not a rumor, kind of true, maybe true, don't say it. If it's not true. If it is true, is it necessary to say? Something may be true, but not necessary to spread all over the internet. If it's true and necessary, it's got to pass through that third gate before you push send. Is it kind?
Wow. All of us need to hear that.
Yeah, I'd like to put it in front of some politicians. I know we're having one on.
Send an email otherwise.
Yeah.
That's
great. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it
kind?
Then you can push send. If it's none of those or only some of those, it's got to be all three, then don't even go near the button. But then that's manners. Safety. What if your child is targeted? I tell them to do 4 things. Stop. Don't respond back. Oh, they want you to. They're just sitting there waiting. They wanted Karen to respond. They wanted her to get angry and hurt and cry. That's what they said. Stop. Copy it. It may not be there when we go to look at it again. Block it. You say, I don't know how to do that. Ask your 3rd grader. They'll show you. Stop, copy, block. And most importantly, tell a caring adult. And we as parents and as educators have to be those caring adults. Not like Karen said, oh, they just didn't even listen. We have to say to the kid, we're going to keep you safe. And no, we're not going to take your cell phone away from you. You're not going to take your internet away from you. Unless you target somebody, in which case you're not seeing it for a long time. But if you were targeted, we're going to help you be safe.
Are we learning bullying from our parents?
Bullying is a learned behavior. So how do you treat hired help? How do you treat somebody moving through the grocery store a little slower than you'd like them to? How do you treat that new neighbor who just moved in, who looks different, maybe even smells different because of their diet, have different faith traditions and cultural differences? Your children are watching. And how do you treat that bigoted relative at the family gathering? Now, we all have bigoted relatives somewhere in the family tree. Some aren't on the branches yet. They're right there at the dinner table, spewing bigoted comments thinly disguised as jokes. Can our children hear us saying, I'm bothered by that, or that was bigoted, or that was racist, or that was sexist, when all the other relatives roll their eyes and say, what, can't you take a joke? Not that kind. And you know what? That brings up a very important point. There are 3 characters in this tragedy, the bully, bystander, but there's a 4th character that I want to raise every kid to be. And that is what Max was. The witness, resistor, and defender. Somebody willing to stand up and say, that's mean, that's cruel. That's not right.